מודיעין מדויק שהתקבל באגף המודיעין, חיסלנו את עלי שדמני, רמטכ"ל המלחמה, המפקד הצבאי הבכיר ביותר של המשטר האיראני. הוא חוסל במפקדה של המשטר האיראני בלב טהרן. שדמני שימש כרמטכ"ל הכוחות המזוינים של המשטר האיראני, והאיש המקורב ביותר למנהיג איראן עלי חמינאי. הוא מונה להחליף את עלם עלי רשיד, הרמטכ"ל הקודם, שגם אותו סיכלנו במכת הפתיחה של המבצע. שדמני הספיק למלא את התפקיד רק 4 ימים. גם אותו חיסלנו. נרדוף את האויבים שלנו שוב ושוב באמצעות יכולות מודיעיניות מתקדמות, ניצול הזדמנויות מתפרצות, עליונות אווירית ותכנון מבצעי מורכב.
ההישגים יוצאי הדופן של ישראל במבצע עם כלבי ממשיכים להצטבר. הבוקר התבשרנו שכוחותינו חיסלו את רמטכ"ל המלחמה האיראני עלי שדמני.
The building was used as a communication center for the Iranian army. In another breaking development, the IDF also announced the targeted killing of the Islamic regime's wartime commander, Ali Shadmani, only days after it killed the last commander-in-chief of the military. Shadmani was the closest military figure to the supreme leader. Israel's strikes so far have delivered a brilliant blow to the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. Yesterday, IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi informed that the Islamic Republic's main enrichment plant, long thought to be fortified, has suffered devastating damage.
Israel has done and showcased with the incredible abilities of our Air Force is we have opened the road to Tehran. We have eliminated, yesterday we have revealed that we have eliminated a third of Iran's ballistic missiles arsenal. We have eliminated a lot of aerial defense systems and eliminated many senior commanders. And so this elimination today that we're putting out of Shadmani is yet another commander who is very close or was very close to Iran's supreme leader, leaving him more and more exposed without his closest circle. And so with IAF fighter jets and other aircraft constantly in the sky over Iran, ever since Thursday night, we gain more and more possibilities with our precise intelligence that has been collecting for months and years over Iranian regime terror figures. Now we get the opportunity with eliminating threats on the ground to actually remove those threats in the form of eliminating commanders, in the form of striking ballistic missiles, launchers, nuclear sites, and other terror abilities of the Iranian regime. It's not just the nuclear program. Even without the nuclear warheads, Iran's ballistic missile arsenal is an existential threat to Israel in and of itself. We are seeing, unfortunately, nightly hits to civilian population centers in Israel. And that's just ballistic missiles. If any of those missiles had a nuclear warhead, the damage would be unimaginable. And so we're talking about a triple existential threat. The nuclear program that has been developing for months, covertly, getting closer and closer to the point where we will have very little to do if we had not acted when we did.
I'm interested on that point. Did you have proof of an immediate threat to Israel from Iran before launching this latest attack?
Yes, definitely. Our intelligence has been collecting for years and months, and concrete evidence shows that what Iran has been developing in its nuclear program, also agreed upon and reported by the agencies for controlling nuclear energy in the world, they are not developing anything that can be interpreted as not building toward a nuclear bomb.
Well, did Israel have proof that Iran is capable now of developing a nuclear weapon? Do you have proof of that?
Once we were to get to a point where Iran would have had a nuclear warhead, it would have been too late. The proof that we have is that Iran has been close enough to where if it were to make a decision, it could have gotten to up to 15 nuclear bombs in a very short amount of time. And that is an existential threat to Israel because this is a regime that has openly said, its leaders have openly said for years that they want to annihilate Israel. They want to wipe it off the map. They chant death to Israel, death to the West, death to America. They have a clock in Tehran to this day counting down to 2040 to the destruction of Israel. And that's not a threat that we take lightly. And that's not a threat that we can live in. And so every night what we're seeing is just the Air Force exhibiting incredible abilities, while simultaneously, some nights, 2 nights ago, defending Israeli skies from barrages of ballistic missiles and UAVs, while simultaneously striking terror targets in both Iran and Yemen. That's incredible flexibility, incredible, fighter jets that are flying all over the Middle East.
Let's talk about, we don't have huge amounts of time, and there is a lot to get through on the programme with this interview that I'd like to talk to you about. The Israeli Defence Minister, you've mentioned a lot of the nuclear targets and the military targets, but there to be an admission that you are targeting civilians in Iran.
Yes, but that also seems to be an admission on your part that you're not looking at the most recent statement of the Defence Minister, and though I will not comment on comments made by our political echelon, the IDF is targeting military targets, nuclear facilities, launchers.
Yes, but the Israeli Defence Minister said Tehran's residents will pay the price. I'm just asking you what was meant by that, because that sounds like targeting of civilians.
I'm not the spokesperson of the Defence Minister, and I suggest that you do your research a little bit better and find his most recent statement where he corrected himself. He corrected himself,
but the original statement was talking about Tehran's residents. So what did he correct? What did he say to correct himself?
Again, I'm not the spokesperson for the Defence Minister. I think you should do your research a little bit better and look into that and talk to the Ministry of Defence if you want to get a comment from them.
We invite the Ministry of Defence on the programme every single day, and they are more than welcome to join us on the programme. We also saw the hit on the TV station. Do you view broadcasters as military targets?
The IDF has always said that we view free press as one of the most important core principles. This building was used by the Iranian terror regime for distinct military purposes. We have intelligence pointing to that. Unfortunately, that's intelligence that we cannot share, but believe you me, we're striking military targets of a terror regime that is threatening to annihilate the state of Israel and the West.
Do you understand?
If I believe in the validity of the IDF's targets? Yes, I do. Every target that is chosen in the IDF is pre-approved by an array of legal advisors, and if any commander in the higher up commands has questions or doubts as to the method of the strike, that target is not struck on that day, and it goes back in the planning process until every level of approval is satisfied.
But that doesn't happen every time, does it? Because there are examples in Gaza where the IDF has admitted that mistakes have been made. Overnight, we've got reporting from the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry that over 30 people were shot at an aid distribution centre. Do you know what happened there? They are reported to be civilians, that over 30 people have been killed. Do you know what happened?
I will not go into details about last night because we don't have all the details yet. But unfortunately, what we're seeing is, first of all, not shooting at aid distribution sites. There is no IDF forces at aid distribution sites. Unfortunately, while the IDF is securing the area around those compounds, which is a closed military area, there are pre-coordinated routes that people need to go through. And when a mob of people strays from that route, there are warning shots fired at times. I will not go into details of what happened last time because we don't have them yet, but it is a complex operational situation. While we are facilitating the GHF to open its compounds and to get the aid directly to the Gazan people, we also know that this is something that bothers Hamas greatly. Hamas being a terrorist organization that seeks control and destruction, and controlling its people through food has been a major tool of them. And so when they don't get to control the food that their people get through the GHF distribution centers, that rattles them. And we know
more broadly,
use those mobs of people going to get their food directly from the GHF. They are planning to take cover in those mobs and execute terror actions toward the troops.
More broadly, there is a question about what happens next. President Donald Trump has left the G7 early. There is a suggestion that there could well be talks between Steve Witkoff and the Iranians to try and reach a diplomatic agreement here to end this conflict. Would you support that diplomatic route?
I'm a military spokesperson. I'm here speaking to you in uniform. What I can speak to is the military targets that we're striking. We have a political echelon and a war cabinet. America is one of our greatest allies, and we are in close communications with them throughout. Every decision that will be made on the political echelon can be translated into a directive to the military actions, and we will act accordingly.
And is it your understanding that Israel has asked for America's help to target particularly the Fordo area, which is it can only really be got at with America's help by the weaponry that America has? Has Israel requested that help from America?
The operation so far has been an Israeli action alone. I will not go into our communications with our partners. I will leave it up to those channels that need to be left alone to function properly. Again, America has proven itself to be one of our closest allies and friends, while also helping defend the Middle East sky from the constant attacks from Iran, both in this operation but also before in October and April. And so while I will not go into what we're talking to them about, so far Israel has been acting alone. America is a sovereign country with its own military, and it will make the decision that is best for America while we make the decisions that are best for the people of Israel.
According to Grossi, all 15,000 centrifuges in the active hall were likely severely damaged or destroyed. In response, speculation is ramping up that the United States may be joining Israel's war against the Islamic Republic of Iran after Trump's recent comments warning Iranian civilians to evacuate Tehran. At the G7 summit, leaders issued a joint statement condemning the Islamic Republic's destabilizing actions and expressing full support for Israel's right to self-defense. But President Trump, who attended part of the summit before abruptly departing, has refused to join calls for de-escalation, instead doubling down on his demand that the Islamic Republic make a deal now or face what he calls even more destructive consequences. Thanks for
the attack, quote, a declaration of war.
The U.S. now defending Israel, helping to strike those Iranian missiles down.
תמונות הנפילות הדרמטיות מישראל הגיעו לכל בית, לעתים גם מה שלא אמור להגיע.
And you can see here, this missile here, right behind me, lying in the road here, it's still smoking.
מראות ההרס באיראן ובישראל חילקו את העולם לפי קווי מתאר ברורים. מדינות מוסלמיות לא ערביות עם איראן, כך גם השמאל העולמי.
中方谴责以色列侵犯伊朗主权、安全和领土完整的行为，反对激化矛盾、扩大冲突，对以方有关行动可能带来的严重后果深感担忧。
Ahora, ¿qué dice Berlín? ¿Qué dice París? ¿Qué dice Londres? ¿Qué dice Washington? Van a seguir alentando al Hitler del siglo XXI, ahora contra el pueblo noble y pacífico de la República Islámica de Irán.
המדינות הערביות כאילו עם איראן, אבל מייחלות להצלחת ישראל. המערב איתנו, לפחות בינתיים.
We have long understood Israel's need to protect its people and security.
Aber Israel ist ein Staat, der unter ganz großem Druck steht, der sich vielen bewaffneten Terrororganisationen gegenüber sieht, die Existenz bedrohen, die sich auch dem Iran gegenüber sehen, der ausdrücklich ja die Absicht hat, den Staat Israel zu vernichten.
ויש גם כאלה שמנסים להישאר ניטרליים.
La situation aujourd'hui, soyons honnêtes et lucides, est une situation à haut risque. Nul ne peut dire qu'elle est maîtrisée. Et les risques d'escalade, y compris d'escalade non contrôlée, existent.
בזירה הדיפלומטית איראן מנסה לגבש קואליציה נגד ישראל במועצת הביטחון של האו"ם.
The council addressed Israeli barbaric and criminal attacks against the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
היא תוקפת את ארצות הברית שלפי שעה ממשיכה לגלגל עיניים עם משפטים סתומים יותר ופחות.
Every sovereign nation has the right to defend itself, and Israel is no exception. The United States was informed of the strikes ahead of time, but was not militarily involved in these strikes.
שגרירי ישראל בעולם נשלחים לחזית ההסברה להבהיר מה קרה לה לישראל שפתחה במלחמה חדשה.
We acted because 80 years ago the Jewish people made a promise to ourselves never again.